Very happy to welcome Simon Leslie. He's the chairman of Eastbourne Borough FC. Simon, welcome to the podcast.
Good. Well, it's morning for me. Good morning to you. Good evening, wherever you are in the world.
Where it's a podcast, the time is not of consequence. People can listen to this at any time of the day. So when we record, doesn't really matter. I always get started by asking people their sports business origin story. How did you find your way in the world of sports?
I came in so many different directions that I don't even know anymore.
Okay.
I guess as a young boy, I was excited about sport and I wasn't very good at education. So sport was my outlet. And I remember as a young boy going to watch, I was from Wales, South Wales, not in England, next to England,
Mm-hmm.
where rugby was the main sport. So I got taken to Cardiff City to watch my very first game, and I was hooked. I was hooked from that very first moment. I love sport. I love football, and I always dreamed that probably as a job that I want to sell the best sports tournaments in the world, the World Cup, Wimbledon, whatever it may be, and that's what I ended up doing.
So that business was in travel media. What was the main goal and I guess the remit of that business?
Originally, I started off because I didn't want to get a proper job, as my dad called it. I wanted to
That's
have
that's
my own.
called being entrepreneurial now, Simon. Someone who runs their own business. Exactly.
Well, I would, I don't know when the word entrepreneur actually kicked in. I don't think it kicked in until like 2007. But before that, you were just a business person, businessman. And I wanted to own my own business. I had had a couple of failures before that. So this was my third or fourth attempt at it. And all of a sudden, I found that I was quite good at publishing magazines for airlines. And I became the king of the inflight magazine. And I went on to sort of dominate that space for about 25 years.
And so then take us to where you are now with Eastbourne. How did you get involved? Why did you get involved? What was the origin story for?
You have to go back again. So at 16, I was a shy, retiring, very quiet young man. Some people just don't believe it, but it's very, very true. And I still am. I still probably inside of me is a quiet young geek. Um, I got sent away to work in Northampton, and a friend of my dad's was the chairman of the football club, and I guess that was a little seed that was sown at that point where I gone, yeah, I'd like to own a football club one day. So you go back then. The business has been quite successful. We'd sold out to a big American firm, and I was a bit miserable. COVID had destroyed the in-flight magazines, and I was looking for something else. And I said, right, I want to buy a football club. As you do, you wake up and you go, I'm going to do it. And I went on a
Yep.
hunt. And I said, it had to be near one of my homes. And one of my homes is down on the south coast. And I got introduced to Eastbourne Borough. And the rest is history, as they say. But it was, I visited about 15 different clubs, talked to lots of chairmen. Everyone said, why do you want to do this? This is the stupid idea. And they were right. And, you go from living the dream to living a nightmare and watching your kids' inheritance go down the drain.
So for the listeners who don't know, I guess what is known as the English football pyramid, where does Eastbourne Borough fit in the English football landscape?
We're in the sixth tier, so we're two below the main leagues. So we're only two promotions away from Nirvana. This team has never ever been in the English league, and my ambition is to get them there, and not just the men's but the women's as well.
And so when you started doing, I guess, research to just to find a team, did that really open your eyes up on like what is the business model of football clubs these days?
I mean, even in the 2.5 years that I've owned it, it's changed so much, and I don't even
Mm-hmm.
recognise it some weeks. Some of the money that's being thrown at the game is incredible. The investors that are coming in from all over the world, pension funds, high net worth individuals who are all saying, right, I want to have a go at this. I think Wrexham sparked off a revolution in English football. And I don't think it's going to slow down. I think it's only going to get better. I think this is the opposite of AI. It's real life, real people, real emotions. And I think that's what's exciting about it.
And so other than that itch of I want to own a club. What's your main driver with Eastbourne Borough?
Well, I'd seen my son and some of his friends who'd got to a level. I'd seen how toxic and horrible it was as a sport, and how sometimes some of the managers and coaches had treated some of the players. And I said, I want to do something different. I want to bring a little bit of maybe the old Ted Lasso way into it, something element of kindness and fairness, and help some of these kids who've been let down by the game, give them another chance. And that's been the sort of model since the start. Some things we've got right and some things we've got wrong. And if you look at us standing in the league at the moment, we're not doing particularly well this season, but the ethos is still there. And if you add another layer on top of that, I want to bring biohacking, wellness, well-being education into the club as well. I want to be the first sort of non-league club that has facilities, that mirror a Premier League club.
So that's a big cultural shift to come in and say, this is what you're seeing, or this is what you've seen. You've seen people have either told you, or it's a lived experience through your own son. Change is always hard. Like, did people go, oh, Simon, you want to do something different? Oh yeah, we've seen Ted Lasso, let's do it that way. Or was there a real tough to sort of turn that attitude and shift the culture?
They came with open arms and said, "Here you go, son. It's all yours. Yeah, you do it your way." Now, of course, it was an absolute litany of hurdles, and everyone's trying to trip you up at every instance, and it will take time to get right. And I think my reputation as a chairman and our reputation as a club is improving year on year, despite what my own fans might think. Actually, when I talk to managers and I talk to other fellow chairmen, people can see the difference that we're making. We've achieved something in social media and in this level of sport that no one's ever achieved before, probably with the exception of Ryan Reynolds. We're putting the story into storytelling, as far as a non-league journey goes. And we're going to keep doing it, even if the results don't match the ambitions.
And is that just a bit of a balance of believing in the path, and you're doing as much for the new fans, because you always have the haters, or you have the loud, noisy fans that want to complain, but it's like you've got to take those small wins from the fans that are coming on board?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's, when you have a coup, you don't need a million people to get a coup. A coup can start with 50 people. And if they're 50 loud enough people, they can make a lot of noise. Sometimes I have to remind myself that half these people don't, not even half, 5 or 6 of them who make the noise don't even come to the games. They just sit there and they're just having a pop, and I'm ruining their club, and I'm everything I'm doing is wrong, and they're all very quick to judge. They're quick to judge my mistakes, but they're not. They don't want to have a look and you know reflect on some of the changes I'm making.
And some of those are long term, long changing, not quick fixes. So it is hard to see those results. Sports business is a very different business to traditional business. You're in the media game and the travel game, and you would have known, there's some rules and the way things get done, but sport can be a little bit more chaotic and sometimes runs by its own rule book. What are some of the sports business lessons that you've learned in the last couple of years?
I don't necessarily agree with that. I actually think that the businesses are quite similar. They're people businesses. I think what fans don't realise is they see it as, they look at the result on a Saturday. They think, if you get another striker, everything's going to be okay. But it's 40 people who probably work in that club. Some of them will like each other. Some of them won't like each other. They come in. Some of them have got challenges and problems outside of just like any working environment, and they're coming into work every day. And then they're expected to perform for 90 minutes on a Saturday and be the best versions of themselves, and sometimes they're not. And it's hard. And I was driving to the game on Saturday thinking, on paper, we look great. It's a good team. We've really improved it. But we don't play on paper. We were playing on a pretty muddy pitch, and we played a far experienced side who give us a bit of a beating. And I think that's, you can make it up in business. You can't make up those 3 points in sport. That's the only real difference.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think that the other difference is, I guess, we don't really have customers in sport. They are fans, and so they come with an absolute different passion level. Like no one's a fan of a bank or an airline or or a grocery supermarket as much as they are of a football club. So you just like your customer, those fans come with a different passion level, which does make it pretty unique.
Okay, I'm a fan of some airlines. I think the everyone's an expert, right?
Mm.
Everyone's a critic, and you know they're very, very common. Those people, they've never run a business. They've never had the challenge of motivating 40 different people from 40 different backgrounds um, to play at their best for 95 plus minutes. So it's all well and good saying, we know best and we know better, but it's a real hard task for anybody. Very few leagues you have. Like our league last year, there were 7 teams competing for the top place on the last day of the season, and I think that shows you how competitive a league it is. And even at the Premier League now, it looks like Arsenal might run away with the league, but you never know. They could bottle it again, and we'd be back in the same place. And I say that as an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. As also as an Arsenal fan. One of the things you did mention there was social media and the storytelling. Again, leaning on your skill set from a media business, launching the series Owning Eastbourne. Was that a little bit of, I guess, brand building and storytelling, but also trying to bring the fans along the journey?
Giving people an insight in what it's like to really own a non-league football, the lows. I use this the R word, which is the roller crazy emotion of highs and lows. Hell, lows and there are highs. Sometimes you just got to let people listen that there isn't there's it's not there's nothing to hide. We are doing our best. We are all human. We are all decisions which sometimes turn well, sometimes turn out badly. And I am judged by my hiring, and my hiring in football hasn't been up to the standard that it needs to be because some of those guys have let me down and let the club down.
And so, I mean, that is again a different part of sport, the owner coach relationship and the owner player relationship. It is it is still a people business, but again, it's a slightly different dynamic than an employee employer in a different business. How have you nurtured and worked on those relationships that you have at the club, both on the pitch and for the staff off the pitch?
Well, I'm still talking to all the managers I've had, and I'm on my 5th manager, I think. We don't get, as Australian, look, we don't get it right, right? You do your best. You talk to each other. You present me with loads of ideas of how you're going to play football and your ethos, and you tell me this is the way you're going to do it, and you can tell me I'm going to do this, and then you go and do something opposite, and I go, but that's not what you promised me. You promise me results and wins, and you deliver me losses and draws. It's so hard. It's so hard because then he's reliant on 20 odd players to do the best for him, and they're reliant on everything else. And all I can do is put the infrastructure and the resources in place to help them do the best they possibly can. So I've got sports psych, I've got analysts, I've got best physios I can find in this level, I've got the best strength and condition I can find. And sometimes they're not good enough. So then you've got to go out and find another one. And sometimes they leave and sometimes they get poached. And if your manager's any good and your player's any good, they want to leave, right? Like, this is the other thing where I think it's unlike business. I've had lots of people who work with me who've been with me for 15 years because I look after them, I treat them well. Sometimes I don't, but they don't want to leave. In football, the ambition is to get away from you as quickly as they possibly can to somewhere better. And fans don't like it, but that's the reality of it. Is this they have a
That's
very short career.
that's the system, isn't it? That's what it's designed to do. So how do you build a culture that is sustainable, that has that, I guess, that thoroughfare, that churn of whether it be talent, on and off the pitch?
We've had 7 players go higher up the league, one to the Premier League, one to the Championship, League Two, League One, and even some of the loanees that we've had in, we've made better, and they've gone and played better at their teams. Those are quite nice success metrics, but not to the fans. The fans say, well, you can't keep players. Okay, we've got different measurements of what success looks like. And right now, my ethos is I want to attract young not even that young, but I want to inject talent that's been let down, that's not succeeded somewhere, and give them a place where they can get better. In the next couple of weeks, we'll have all the equipment in place where we can help them recover better, get faster, fitter, quicker, whatever it is. And I want people to look at Eastbourne and say, well, this is the model of what a football club can look like in the league or out the league, because they're doing things differently. They're telling the story. They've opened the window to the business and said, come and have a look. There's nothing to hide.
And so, how important is, like, we sort of focusing on, I guess, getting that structure right for the playing staff and the coaches to have success, either individually for players or on the pitch as a collective. But how important is also keeping Eastbourne connected to the community and getting their buy-in, because then that can be something that is a bit more sustainable because they're riding that journey with you.
It's a great question, and it's one that's driving me up the wall. I'm doing so much community work. Every quarter, we're getting into more and more schools where we're working with the kids. People will make the decision what club they support around 7 years old. Our sponsors are giving kits away to 7-year-olds. It's something that I'm quite passionate about. We are the centre for people if they want to come and do things. But what happens is they don't come. They don't. They come on match days, don't like the results, moan about us, then tell us what a horrible club we are who don't care about the community. And we put lots of events on. We put lots of. This year's a World Cup year. We'll be showing. We'll have loads of live screenings of all games. Last time the Euros were on, we had a great big truck in there. We got lots of land, and we had picnics. We had people on, from the community coming out and watching the games. Didn't charge a penny for anything. And I think that we're doing a lot of community work. But if somebody on a forum turns around and says you don't care about the community, or you're a horrible club and you're horrible people and you don't like us, that's what I have to fight with every single day. And I also get frustrated by the local authorities, because if Eastbourne football team, Eastbourne Borough, was a league club and going through the leagues, that brings more tourism dollars in. It brings more people into the club, into the town. We've got more publicity for Eastbourne as a destination. And by the way, it is a beautiful destination, not very far from Brighton, which are a Premier League club. And look what's happened to Brighton over the last 15 years. 15 years ago, these two teams weren't that far apart in league status. And now it's a gulf so wide. And a town, Brighton, is booming, and Eastbourne is still probably what it was 15 years ago. So I'm shouting, but they think I'm just aggressive and noisy and just a loudmouth from London who just wants to, make a point and make a quick buck. And, if anyone knows about anything about investing in football, there's no quick bucks in football.
So, what is your, I guess, long-term vision or long-term plan, and what do you hope Eastbourne is, in 5 to 10 years down the track?
I hope people are coming here to use our facilities. I hope it becomes a place where people pioneer new products. So, we had, I think last year or the year before, there was an Australian cryotherapy wrap that wasn't in the UK. They reached out to me and said, we really want to get in the UK. Can you, you've got a great social media following. Can we send you some wraps and you can put them in and you can take them on the bus and then the guys can use them? And they were all right, but they didn't keep cold enough, right? The players moaned at me and said, they're not good enough. They don't keep us cold. I said, but no one else is getting this on the long bus journey home from Torquay. At least you've got some wraps to keep you company. And we did some coverage for them. And I think that's the sort of thing that I think will happen, is that people from all around the world will launch products and say, where can we get this tested on a professional sports team? Where can we do this? Where can we do that? And I think that's what we'll become. We'll become the guinea pigs, where we'll be able to launch new products, new equipment, new recovery, belts, welts, whatever it is, to make us a place where players go, do you know what? Last year we launched private medical insurance for all the players. No one else was really doing that in our league. Now probably half the league are doing it. All the things that you pioneer, others copy. And I think that's
it's a pretty good place to be in. That means you're doing something right.
It's a nice thing Sean. But the problem is, every time someone copies something you do, you've got to raise your bar up again, and you've got to raise your game up again. And it's difficult. They're all copying our social media. They're all copying all the things that we're doing, and I've got to keep going back to the drawing board and saying, right, what can I do next? That's just going to give us the edge and make us a little bit better.
But I guess sort of the discussion started of how do you change the culture. But if you're a club that is always pushing the envelope and wants to be the ones out in front, yeah, everyone else is still going to be copying you because that's what you want to. That's what you're trying to do.
That, it's until you stop doing it, until you stop reinvigorating or re-educating, then you're going to stand still. But also when you trip up, everyone's looking at you and going, "You didn't do it right, did you?" People are very quick to judge you on your mistakes.
Absolutely, but the internet's full of a lot of people with opinion. You don't have to listen to all of them. But one of the things I did notice, we're talking about engaging the local community, but I did notice in sort of perusing the comments on the YouTube series, how many fans you've got like invested and following the series now, following the club from different parts of the world. Was that a nice surprise when as you're growing the social media following and then doing the series?
No, because we're sending out kits all over the world. Every single day people are buying the kits, and we send a lot of kits to the US, Australia, Middle East, Singapore. So this was a club when I took over that sold 57 kits, I think, in the year that I took over. We're now selling thousands. So I think that the brand of Eastbourne, than just a small part of East Sussex.
And that's something that's, we've seen all the Premier League clubs venture outside of the UK to grow fan bases in different parts of the world because it's limitless, and that's why they're leaders in all the social media categories because they were the first to really have that global view. And is that something that you want to continue for Eastbourne?
Absolutely. I'm really proud of what we achieved in such a short space of time. We've overtaken most of the League Two and League. We've got the social following of a championship club who've been around for hundreds of years, and the fans say, "Oh, you care more about that than you do about us," and it's not true. I care about everybody equally. You're all my favourite children. I just want you to understand football is doing it right, and if it was easy, we'd be doing it. How much money you've got? If you look at the top of the game, there's billions of pounds being every month. Stars who are flops, but they weren't flops in Spain or they weren't flops in Italy, and it's the same with us. We're just a smaller ecosystem. This kid looks great. He played brilliantly, and also you rely on the manager's judgment. And if the manager gets it wrong, right, it's sack the board, sack the chairman. He doesn't know what he's doing. He hasn't got a clue. And maybe they're right.
Absolutely. Well, Simon, I really do appreciate you taking the time. I want to get to the Sports Geek closing five. You may have spoiled one earlier, but that's okay. We can go back to it. Do you remember the first sports event you ever attended?
Yes, Cardiff City, Ninian Park, 1977.
All
A long
right.
time ago.
And you would have been to a few sports events in your time. Do you have a favourite or a go-to food at a sports event?
The best thing I ever had at a sport event was at the Lakers. They had toffee apple covered in chocolate.
Of course they did. That sounds like very, very LA. Is there a particular dish you would get at a Eastbourne Borough game?
Well, we have a very nice burger. We have hot dogs and we have pizza. So I've got plenty of choices at Eastbourne Borough. When we came in, we had pies, and chips. And so now we're a bit more eclectic.
Bit of variety. That's good. That's good. What's the first app you open in the morning?
Apple News.
Terrific. Is there someone that you follow? It might be someone on social media. It might be an author that you've read that the listeners should follow, and why?
Two people. Tim Grover, who
Yep.
is Michael Jordan's
Michael
coach.
Jordan's personal trainer.
Yeah. I loved him. When I was really struggling in the first season, he very kindly came in and talked to the lads. I think some of them didn't know who he was, but it was we'd got on a bit of a losing streak, and he certainly helped me turn it around. And then there's a guy called Charlie Methven, who's probably one of the few people who's made any money in football. I love listening to him. He's a font of knowledge beyond of any sport, and it's not a big name, but he just knows his sport and he knows how to certainly how to run a football club, and he's been helping me over the years.
And lastly, you can answer this both personally and then also for Eastbourne. What social media platform is your MVP?
Eastbourne loves TikTok, and Eastbourne loves Instagram, and Instagram loves Eastbourne, and TikTok loves Eastbourne. Uh, I'm in business, so LinkedIn is my go-to, but I spend too much time scrolling, and this bloody phone is the bane of my life in business and in sport because once you pick it up, you can't put it down, and all it does is give you bad news most of the time.
It does do that. It does do that. Simon, I really do appreciate you taking the time. Is there a way? I always ask people who listen to the podcast to reach out and say thank you if they enjoyed the episode. What is the best way? Would it be to reach out on LinkedIn like we connected?
Yeah, please reach out LinkedIn. Say if you liked it, you didn't like it, and I would say to everybody, it's never too high, never too low. Is one of my captains said that to me a couple of years ago. He said, "Look, when we're going well, everyone's going to love you. When we're doing badly, everyone's going to hate you, and you just got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable."
Absolutely. And after listening to this, they can go check out Owning Eastbourne on the YouTube and other platforms. So thank you very much for coming on the show.
Oh, Sean, thanks for your time, and I appreciate you, and I hope I paved a little bit of wisdom for somebody somewhere in the world.
Cheers.